Bring your cup and take a seat. Fill it up, coffee, wine, or tea. Come find what you're looking for. A good pour.
Hey there, welcome back to A Good Pour. I'm Kathryn Good. This summer, we're doing something called the Summer of Good AI, and here's why. I've been teaching AI for almost 2 years. I've sat in rooms full of business owners who are both curious and terrified. I've heard that this has changed my life, and I've heard, man, this is scary, and I agree with both. We have added AI to our business and have seen incredible results while keeping and even adding to our team. But I also get the concern, the environment, jobs, accountability, bias, authenticity. So I started asking a different question. Not should we use AI, but what does it look like when someone uses it well? So that is the series. Business owners, some skeptical, some figuring it out in real time, all using AI to solve something or try to solve something that matters to them. The hard conversations are here too, because we need to be talking about what is possible and what we need to be concerned about. We are created to create. So let's explore what it means to practice and experience good AI. Kicking off this series is Mahoney, a friend and mentor who has been using AI longer than anyone I know. She came from the stage. Performer first, marketer second. That background gave her a lens on AI that pure tech people just don't have. She understood that voice isn't just what you say, it's how you pause, what you leave out. She understood that before she ever wrote a prompt. She even wrote the book, AI-Fying Your Business, and she built a framework to solve what she calls the soul problem. Most AI content falls flat not because of the tool, but because people skip the infrastructure. We got into all of it. Why AI needs a brain and a soul. Why weird is a strategy. And why you can't hand AI a task and expect it to sound like you if you haven't defined what you actually sound like. Here's my conversation with Mahoney. Okay, so I like to say my ChatGPT moment. I like to talk about this when I'm in trainings and workshops because it's almost like where were you at the moment you realized the world was changing. Yeah. But your story is so different because you launched AI content in 2021, 2 years before most people even heard of ChatGPT, OpenAI, any of those things. So I'm very, very curious to talk about what was your moment. When did you realize, wow, this is going to shape our next several years, if not forever, right?
Yeah. It was interesting because I was so blown away. My friend Jamie sent me a message about conversion.ai, and which was what Jasper was called before. And then Jasper was also called Jarvis. So if you don't know Jasper, it is an AI tool that's a wrapper built on OpenAI on top of ChatGPT. So it's basically like a bunch of little tools that are powered, I think, still by OpenAI. Maybe they've changed that since then. But it was very basic and had just a few copywriting conventions and methodologies. And then you could put a little bit of information in and then it would spit something out. And even though it was just that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. And I was using it to like tell my kids stories in the pool, or, you know, we'd like be sitting in the pool on my phone, like in the hot tub on my phone. And I'd be like, it was like Mad Libs, but Mad Libs, you know, gone wild. Oh. So it was so fun. It really just helped me because I realized as an adult that I believe I'm actually dyslexic. And so it gave me so much more confidence in my writing because it basically taught me how to write. And I was so excited about it. I remember watching Reed Florin. Do you know Reed?
No.
Okay, so back in the day, Reed did a lot of trainings with Jasper as well. And he did a training on it. And while I was watching him, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like watching choreography. Like the way that he was using the AI tools and like bouncing around with different things. And he had these little shortcuts and stuff way before ChatGPT. And I was like, it's like you're dancing with the AI. And so I launched a program that was really just for my affiliates. So the people who signed up for this AI tool as an affiliate of mine, I launched a program to teach them how to use this one specific tool. And I called it Dancing with Jarvis. which is where the program started, which is kind of weird.
So is that what led into AI Stars pretty much?
That's what led into the content club.
Okay, yes.
Well, and then I realized once ChatGPT came out, I was like, okay, this is stupid to build your whole program. Because eventually we charged for it and all of that. But I was like, I can't build this whole membership just about one tool. So that's when we shifted it into the AI Content Club. But if you go back to that moment in 2021, what's actually wild, and I don't know how much we've talked about this, but I started teaching messenger bots in 2018. So people now are still blown away by like Instagram automated comments. And I'm like, girl, so ManyChat hired me on their behalf to speak at events. So I would go to like Digital Marketer and talk about ManyChat, but give case studies from my business. And when ManyChat came out, and I know ManyChat at the time was not AI, but people would call it artificial intelligence, even though it wasn't. It was kind of like the conversation with the robots. So, I mean, I had, back in the day, look at this. These were the swag things that I would give out. This was before AI. This is like with ManyChat, but
they're it's like a robot, I think. Yes.
Yes, little dancing robots. And it has my logo in the middle. But back then we were named one of the world's top chatbots because we made it fun. We added in personality. Like you could click a button and she would sing you a song because she would take you to a video of my jazz band. So it was like so weird and so fun. Like we built one for Jay Fizzette back in the day that was based on his dog, and his dog's name was Lou. And so we'd all like talk in Lou's voice as we were programming these little, AI, they weren't AI, but these little automated conversations out. So
but what was it? Was it predictive AI? It just wasn't generative AI?
No, not even. It was like a do if this, then that. Because it was like a workflow. So in ManyChat, you could click, and I mean, it changed a lot over time, but you could click a button and then decide which word came next. It was like choose your own adventure in Messenger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, you've already mentioned performing several times. So you came from the stage, performer first, marketer second.
Yes.
Was there something about performance training that made you see AI's potential differently than other marketers?
Oh yeah, man. I think, well, because I know as an actor, you can be in a position where you are performing and like putting something on, or you can be like living in the moment of the character. And I think when we are using AI, people are starting to not like, there's like a play, you can go to play practice or you can rehearse, right? And so, and I always come back to, do you know who Konstantin Stanislavski is by any chance?
I mean, even if I knew all these people, you remember names. Like, I have trouble remembering my children's names sometimes, I feel like. But you pull out names all the time. It is crazy.
I can't spell them. I have to say, one of my kids, as you know, is named Charleston, and I have to say Charleston, so I remember how to spell his name. Okay, but Konstantin Stanislavski is an acting theorist from Russia in the bajillions of years ago. I don't know. But he wrote this big chart on how to be a true actor, like how to be Meryl Streep. Okay. It's a really cool chart. I should do more posts about it because I use it as a foundation for everything I do. And it has all of these different pieces on it, right? And, I can go into some of the different pieces, but the most important one is on the bottom. And it's a huge box on the bottom that says work on one's self. And I think if we don't do that with AI, that's where the zombie apocalypse happens. That's where it's not as effective. And so I know, because of my experience as a performer, I know the importance of empathy and connection. And I think there's two sides to that. We can weave that into what we're creating with AI, but also humans on the other side who are using AI, what can we do to allow them to feel more connected to these AI tools, which maybe sounds creepy, but I think it's important to have that human piece woven in.
Well, that leads right into my next question you are all about authenticity. You say AI and authenticity are not opposites. And we're seeing this, as we try to get businesses, me specifically, when I'm trying to work with businesses, there's some fear, right? There's
Yeah.
some fear here. So how do we, given how authentic you are and your kind of positivity, how we approach this for good and keep ourselves in it, what do you say to a business owner that's scared that it's going to flatten everything and make us all robots?
Okay, so first of all, you do such a great job at this. And I think that your frameworks around what we can put in place to help us stay safer with AI, to help us stay more, I don't know if authentic is the right word, but more in integrity with AI is so important. So if you're listening to this podcast, do everything Kathryn says because I think it's important. And yesterday I was speaking at an event at UCLA for several real estate agents. Oh my gosh, which I thought of you with that too, because I know like we've been talking about all different levels of speaking and stuff too. And several people came up to me afterwards and they said, look, I'm the person standing in your comments with the big sign that says, stop, no AI, stop. And she said, but I just am so moved by the way that you explain this to us. And the big thing that I've been focusing on is the fact that our AI needs data, right? It needs a brain. It needs this data piece. But the big thing that people miss is that our AI also needs soul. And if we don't weave that soul piece in, we get spam. So that's one really big piece. The other thing is, and I wish I had done more content about this. At the time, I was just like so crazed with travel that I didn't. And I should have just done a video like on a plane. But did you see everything that happened with Reese Witherspoon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Molly, that's really has defined what I'm saying right now, part of my narrative and really part of the reason I'm doing this podcast, even though I had the podcast idea before that all happened, is that narrative around negative AI is so solid. But this, like all the reasons we shouldn't do it, right? The environment, we don't know what it's going to do. We're losing critical thinking. We losing authenticity. There's so many reasons we shouldn't do it. But if Claude can find a 30-year-old hack, right, that exists, what can it do for all of, our health, all of these things? And so how do we focus on the good, right?
Well, and I think like instead of looking at it from a place which is like to combat the negative, like we could make a list of recent. So I said this to somebody yesterday. I don't know if it was Jonathan Mast or someone did a post about the water thing and how people are so concerned about the water, which I understand. And I don't claim to be an expert in any of that, but he did a post that was like, this is how much water it takes to create with AI for 3 hours. And this is how much water it takes to make a hamburger. Right. And it was like, if we put this into perspective, there is a huge narrative around the stuff that's bad. But I think we have an opportunity, and you're doing so well with this podcast, not only to combat that, like what Jonathan's post was doing, which I think is awesome, but not just in response to it, but how can we actually be on the forefront? And one of the things that I think is the biggest, as you, I'm sure, have experienced, is that we need to have a seat at the table in helping this conversation, because this conversation is happening. Like the AI is going. And if we don't make sure that there are humans with integrity and with the ethical way of navigating through life in these conversations and have that both and piece, I think we were talking about it before we hit the record button. But yes, we can, like you going to
Washington, D.C.
And then having these conversations around, do we want to be competitive? Great. But we can also still protect people in that. Like it doesn't need to be an either or, it can be a yes and.
Yes. Amen. I also, it's the women at the table. Like I loved the Reese Witherspoon because she brings up, yes, we need to learn it. We need to have women at the table. And she got a lot of backlash for it. But again, both
well, so
right?
Like just in case people don't know what happened. Yes. So she did this video in her kitchen that was like, I'm going to hold a water bottle, but I think she was making a smoothie or something. And she's like, so I think that we need to have more women learning AI. Do you want to learn with me? Let me know below. That's basically what she said. Like we need more women in the conversation. Now the backlash came in two forms, so I saw it before the backlash. A couple people tagged me and I was like, hey girl, hey, I'm here for you, whatever, So I thought it was awesome. But in the backlash, there were people who were saying like AI is awful, but there was an even bigger backlash because I guess she's a part of some sort of like membership around AI or like a paid community that teaches AI. And people were saying that she was like tricking them with this post because really it was an undisclosed sponsored ad is what they were saying. And I think there's also a bigger conversation around that as women business owners. Like, come on. I mean, that post was quintessential Whitneying, which is my favorite sales strategy, where she's like validating the idea. If everybody said no right away, she could have decided not to do the other stuff. And I think if we are shaming women around AI, we are shaming women around putting their business out there. Like, what are you doing? I think we need more sisters coming together to celebrate each other rather than leading with this like shame marketing or shame commenting. Like, enough.
Yeah. And also, if you're on a social media platform that is, the algorithms are shaped by AI, you're already using AI.
Hello, like for years and years and years and years. I know.
Okay. So you wrote AI-Ify your business. Is that
Yeah.
trademark to you? The
Oh my gosh, if you look it up,
AI-Ify?
you'll see that we are on like the brink of getting that finalized. And the true secret is, and this is awesome because Joey, our trademark attorney, just came back or just joined Multiply, which is so fun. So
Oh,
so
really?
he
I
can
may
give-
need to
yeah,
talk to him. Okay.
Joey Vitale's the best. He was in our glam program 100 years ago, and then he just joined last week. But he is awesome, and he's helped me get so many trademarks. But this one has been really interesting because we want to trademark it for the book purpose. But I didn't know that for a book to be trademarked, for a term to be trademarked for a book, you have to have 2 books published with the word. And so now I do think, so like, let me go grab it because it's cute. Hold on. Good thing I'm wearing pants. I'm just kidding. If you're not watching this on the video, I just ran to the back of my office to get my book. Okay, so this is the book, AI-Ify Your Business, but this was written before Claude was really big, and I aim to make sure that this book was really the foundations. And so it's almost more of a business book and how you can weave AI into the different elements of the way that we teach to grow a business with organic, social media. But I do want to add in a new edition of it that covers all of the crazy things that we're doing with agents and all of that, because this was like before a lot of that was there. It's still super, super valuable. But also, in order to confirm our trademark, I have to have 2 books out. So I'm going on a cruise next week, and maybe I'll write a book on a cruise.
It's like a perfect to-do list for a cruise. Well, so with that book, hold it up again. What's the core idea you want people to walk away from?
That you can have more fun and make more money doing what you love. So the whole point is that you're taking your true expertise and then you're using AI to amplify that rather than using AI to duplicate you or to, I mean, I heard something recently said about how doing things quicker with AI is not actually better. We want to get above that we want to be really like amplifying and accelerating, but not in a way that it's just speed, in a way that it's truly making our business, our clients' lives, and the world better. Because with AI, we don't only have access to putting our, quick things in there, we have access to the entire world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been saying, it's like when the internet came out and we were only using it for AOL Messenger and maybe some email when we could have been doing so many things. And it's really interesting, this idea of kind of, and I don't know that I saw this until we started working with agents and creating like things that could actually be an employee, like doing a job and seeing these levels of like level 1, you're having a conversation, level 2, maybe you're building a GPT, level 3, maybe you're building a workflow. And really when I start to talk about this, most people are still at level 1, right?
I know. Yeah.
And even level 1 can help your business, but we have to start to see the higher level, and in not a scary way, which bothers. And I think we've talked about this a little bit in Multiply, that clone idea. That's scary versus an agent that can do a job that you do every day, so you can be on the beach, right? Like there's just the way we talk about things can can help shape our ability to do good using it, right? It's just the word clone is scary to a lot of people, and that's okay.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like a creepy clone.
No, it could be a cute clone, right?
It can be a cute clone. Or, I mean, I think there's also another way to take it. Like, I love to give my AI agents and my AI assistants names and, really a personality. And
You mean
I've
like
named,
how I named my podcast agent Graham Caster?
yeah.
Or told Dory to name hers Rod Podwell? I mean, you might as well have fun, right? Like,
Hello,
name
like
them.
100%. But then I also know that may creep some people out, that it's starting to go like in the way of her or whatever, where we're having our relationships with these AI tools are too intense. So you can just look at it as a tool or a workflow. Like, people have been using Zapier forever. So just look at it as a fancier version of Zapier.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, I want to talk about weird.
Okay.
Can we talk about weird?
I like that. We can talk about
So
weird.
weird wins, according to Molly. So, I mean, we have all of these tools. We can develop polished, professional content, and we can train our agents and all of our AI tools to do this. But you want us to lean into weird. Why?
Because otherwise, no one will even see you. You'll be like, you remember those things in the mall when we were like kids that you could go see the dinosaurs and then it would be like the pixelated image where the dinosaur came out? I'm older than you, I think. So I don't know if you had these when you were a kid. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know that I do, but keep talking.
Okay, so there's like paintings that have all this pixelated stuff, and if you stare at it long enough, the dinosaur will pop out or like an image will pop out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but this feels like something we can build on AI. Let's do it.
Okay, I thought that was going to be like the easiest metaphor.
It's okay.
It's
Other
like
people will get it.
Like an optical illusion where
Okay.
you don't see it at first, but you have to like really stare to see the person. I think that's what happens, especially in the world of AI. You have to have some sort of unique differentiator for people to be able to find you, like Cinderella and the slipper. Like, we need a spotlight on you and your business. So that's the business side of why weird wins. The real side of why weird wins is because otherwise you are not living in your truth and you will live a horrible, desolate, grumpy life. Like, my mission here is really a Trojan horse. So I say that I'm here to help people build their business, but underneath it all, I'm really just here to help people figure out who they are so that they can show up and live a better, more true life and not try to pretend to be something that they're not.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And if we don't know who we are, we can't even start to think about a clone of ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do we build something or build our business? I say this a lot, when I'm trying to talk to people about getting their message right, or you talk about a company details, we have what's called a marketing machine, and it's really just getting people saying the same things, right? So if I walk into a business and I say, what do you do? And there's 5 different answers, as soon as we add AI on top of that, it's just chaos because we're amplifying different messages as opposed to that same message that we're all saying as humans, but also any tool that we build with AI is also saying the same thing. And I think it's just the same as an individual. Even if we just say, rewrite this so it sounds like me, the AI has to know what you sound like, right?
Yeah. And the way to make that, because you may say, like, if you don't have a distinct way that you sound, if you as a human sound like a robot, then your AI is definitely going to sound like a robot. But if you as a human come up with your unique, recognizable, trademarkable voice, right? I always suggest that we create a glossary of the weird terms that we use. So this is like cool. Again, with just having spoken at this event yesterday, people were posting in stories on Instagram and tagging me and writing things like, Molly knows her shiz because
you use the word shiz.
Right? So having those terms, it creates, I like to say that it turns your message into a movement. And if your message isn't defined, then the movement can't happen, because it's like when you have a hose and you put your thumb over it, right? And it makes like a super strong stream, or it just goes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, as a part of our kind of marketing machine, and then if they don't do a full marketing machine, we have what we call the gray 8, and one of those is branded elements. And when I'm speaking, I'll say, okay, what's my color? And they all know red. Or what's the primary word that I use? And they all know good. And I'll hear, you're everywhere. And I'm saying, it's not really that I'm everywhere, it's that I have a brand that multiplies when I'm not even in the room, at least locally, because people do know those things, and they'll say, I saw something that, a hat that said, have a good day or something. And I immediately thought of you. And I said, that's intentional because I want you to look at red and somehow think of Kathryn. Oh, maybe I should call Kathryn. And so it's those little things, and we all have them. We just haven't all defined them in a way you and I have, for sure. They're just part of our personality, or maybe a little bit steps that we define these kind of weird parts of us, but in just really, really defined ways that, again, can multiply when we're not in the room.
I think like the defining piece or uncovering, right, if it's already a part of us, but then also being so intentional to showing up with that. Like you do such a perfect job at this. Like you walk into an event and you're wearing red and you're wearing something that says good. Like same thing. I had to make a big confession on stage yesterday and say, I want you all to know I'm not wearing any sparkles today. This is, and but then even talking about it, even though I wasn't wearing sparkle pants, I wore like that flowered suit that I have, which I love so much.
Yes, love it too.
But I have to be careful that if I'm like, am I going out of my brand? Like, you can have like these branches of your brand. It doesn't mean that you have to be a robot. But hey, look at this also. If you think about Steve Jobs, right? What did he do? He always wore a black V-neck. And that also helps with decision fatigue. So when you have these rules for the way that you show up in your brand, you don't have to think about what am I going to wear? When am I going to whatever? You've got a constraint actually helps you to be more creative.
I love that. I was looking at my closet and I was like, do I just get rid of everything that's not red or black?
So I have gotten rid of everything that's not jewel tones. Like I have very few yellow. Like
so, did you do the color thing? Like, do you know what color?
Yeah, 100%. So I used to, when I had the program Camera Confidence, this was one of the first things that we did, is figuring out which colors actually go well with your skin tone. Because if you choose a color that doesn't go well with your skin tone, like if I chose puce or something like that. Like my sister loves mustard and she's blonde and she looks great in mustard colors. It is the worst on me because my skin is yellow and it becomes yellow and then I am just like a yellow blob. So with the jewel tones, that helped to define everything else. And I'm like crazy specific about C20AAF is my hex code for magenta. I don't veer from that.
Well, so I wish I had taking Camera Confidence back in the day, because I maybe wouldn't have picked red because I am a cool summer. And every time I wear purple, and it's a shade of purple, it's more of a lavender purple, but every time I wear it, people are like, this color is your color. And I'm like, funny, because I'm known for red. But it can be that I just do a shade of red that's a little cooler, and yeah, and
I think even within the color red, like there are so many different levels. Like even with red lipstick, or at my wedding, I wore red nails. And I had red shoes at our wedding. It was so cute. We had red flowers. So my wedding was in your brand. But I am so specific that I will not wear an orangey red. Like there's different versions of red. Which you can do. Yeah.
Okay. Rabbit. Sorry. Or squirrel, not rabbit. What did I say?
Hey, but that's important to put into the AI also, right? So like to make sure you don't only have a brand kit that's about your words, but also about your visuals.
Yeah. So really, I met with a prospect yesterday and they're fairly new to AI and they're like, so it can just build a landing page? And I said, yes, if you have the infrastructure in place. Like I have a company details and I have a brand document and I have a visual document. And so I just pulled up Claude and I said, build me a landing page on this. And it did it in like 5 minutes. And they're like, oh, we get it. And I said, yes, you have to have the infrastructure. You can do all kinds of things once you have the infrastructure, but you can't just go to Claude and say, build me a landing page. It won't, it will, but it won't be in your brand. It won't know what you're trying to sell.
And also like the best practices, because I've noticed that, and we've talked about this a lot, like Claude defaults to putting like super tiny text and also like gray text, which is really hard to read. So figure out or work with an expert like Kathryn or someone who knows the best practices for creating websites or for creating landing pages or whatever, so that things are you have, and then you can create a skill in Claude, right? I have this content copy checker, which I love so much that it always comes back and makes adjustments after the fact.
Yeah, I have built one that is trying to strip AI words that it uses over and over, or phrases or sentence structures, or just words that I may not like, even if AI is not overusing them. And it's kind of similar to that, but it will double check for all those things. And I don't know. Every time I say do not use M dashes, and I feel like it just still throws them in there every once in a while, even though I feel like I have everything built. But anyway, that's a side note.
The M dash, God bless the M dash, because RIP. No.
Well, it's funny. I love grammar, and so I mean, I
can't even type. I don't even know how to type it on the computer.
Right, and that's what I say. If you don't know how to type it, you shouldn't be using it. But and it's just anyway. There's little things like that are even like the ellipses. Now it started. I don't know if you've noticed that, and I love ellipses.
I am like all ellipses all day long, so I know
it doesn't.
I
matter.
just also realized I'm using a red mug today, which I'm very it's red on the inside. I'm very proud of my connection to you. You know what? Can I go off topic for just one more second?
Absolutely.
So my grandma, who we've talked about a lot, like my main AI agent is named Bobby after my grandma. She was an artist. I don't know if you saw when you walk into my house, it's a cover of a National Geographic. It's a young woman, a very I don't even know where she's from, but a very ethnic painting of a young woman. And my grandma did that painting. So my grandma was an amazing painter. She was amazing. But all of her paintings, this can make me cry, always had a little bit of red in them.
Aww.
And she wore red glasses. She had everything was this little red accent. And for her, she said that it was her little reminder that Jesus was in every piece of art that she was creating. And so that represented love to her, which represented Jesus. And she put that into everything that she did, and I have this random picture of her sitting here. My grandma's glamour shot. My mom passed away, but she always had a little bit of red of everything she did.
Oh, so, I love that.
Oh, so cute.
It's a whole new way to think of red.
Yeah, so fun.
So I don't know if you know. Do you know how I first started? Heard of you?
I don't think I do.
So you were on Michael Stelzner's podcast.
Yes.
I was in the car trying to catch up on all things AI. I knew. You'd probably heard my story, but I knew 3 years ago it was going to change the marketing agency world, and I had to do something. And so I was driving to get my kid from a camp. It was 5 hours away, and I just was consuming there and back as much AI podcast as I could. You were on there, and one, I just appreciated that it was a woman, because it was rare, especially at that time. It was very rare. And two, you just made it approachable and just try it. And then you gave a really great free something. Actually, I think you gave a free month of Content Club, or AI Stars maybe had just started.
I think Content Club. Yeah. Oh, maybe.
I think I did Content Club first.
Yeah.
And then for me personally, I was ready to take that AI step, because I think I joined very, very early in AI Stars. And so I started Content Club and then stopped because I wanted more AI. And then you launched AI Stars, and I was like, I'm all in. And I think I was in AI Stars for 2 months before I went to Multiply, right? So, and Multiply's just become a community, and we're all learning together, but it's also, I've had lots of conversations here and there on what do we even want to offer. And I don't know, it's been a gift the past year. But so I think my lesson here is you're showing up on a podcast as a woman very early, when I think the podcast had just started. What were you, episode 20 or something?
No, so I was on 2 times. So I don't know which one. I think you probably heard the first one, which was episode 7.
Okay.
So, and he's so big about celebrating women in the space and making space for women, which I so appreciate. But he was really excited to tell me. I remember him telling me, you're going to be episode 7. You know what that means,
I'm
right?
sure that's the
people
way
are going to come back and listen to this forever. So he was really so great about the way that he was celebrating and positioning me on the podcast. So that first episode, if you listen to the AI Explored podcast, that first episode, I was talking about your brand voice and putting, I had my voice method and all that. And then the second one that I was on was all about AI apps and Base 44. And with AI Stars, also, I just think it was at a time when I was vacillating between, do I keep things basic? Because the problem is people come in to our AI content club and they get overwhelmed if we make things too advanced. And so finally, my friend Marcus Heitcutter, who's also a member of Multiply, was like, why don't you have something that's more advanced? Because that's what I was wanting to talk about. But I feel like it happens again, right? Like we're so big. I know you are also about making sure we're not leaving people behind. But then we want to talk about the more advanced things, and then people skip the foundation. So as an AI educator, it's such a tricky thing to navigate and to make sure that people aren't missing the foundations because they want to be able to keep up and keep the speed. Do you find that happens for you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, so our economic development agency is sponsoring several AI workshops that I'm going to lead in person this summer, which we need to talk to Multiply because it's amazing. I mean, such an easy connection, like economic.
And you've done such a great job at being a trusted resource locally, which I think is such a great way to start because you can then expand from there. But being known as like a true leader in your local space is such a good strategy. So.
Well, I find too, because a lot of people learn better in person. And I got to learn, okay, probably about 90 minutes into a workshop, people's eyes start to glaze over. I wouldn't have learned that truly if I hadn't been in the same room with them, I don't think.
Yeah.
But what I'm finding, especially when I'm starting to go into companies and train teams, is it really is going to have to be intro. And if you've built a custom GPT or a Claude skill, you're probably gonna skip this. But if you have, then I don't, it's almost like we're gonna have to have two different sessions because
I always ask that question when I speak. And like at Social Media Marketing World, or Sarah had mentioned this at the Eugentic event last year, it was like half of the room had built a custom GPT, half had not. At Social Media Marketing World, in my session about AI agents, it was really like 25% of the room had never built a custom GPT. I spoke at this real estate event yesterday that was AI focused, and it was so great. And I think maybe 2 people in the room had built a custom GPT, and I was like, ugh.
I know, which is really hard I've been saying, especially inside of businesses, it's like we're learning a new language. And so if you have people in the business that are fluent in this language and you have people that have never heard it, we're increasing this gap inside of our businesses without really even knowing it, not knowing what to do about it. I mean, this is my heart. We don't want to leave anybody behind, but at the same time, we want to advance our businesses. And so it's like, let's just at least bring everyone up to speed. Like, let's at least know what it is. I think that's our responsibility as business owners, really, is to at least give them some sort of foundational training. And then if people choose to learn it, or if we as businesses start to require it, but if we don't at least give them a Duolingo like intro, like we're not being responsible business owners, right? Like I don't know. That's what's on my heart lately. But it's hard. I mean, even when we were in Multiply, you said, who's building Claude skills, and several of us raised our hands, but several did not, and that's in the same kind of advanced program, really. So
I know, and so like I love, and we're talking about things that just to clue everyone in. So we had an in-person event, and I wanted to make sure when we were in person, I knew there were things that people had skipped online. So that's why we have in-person events. I launched this thing last week where I'm just gonna up and go to New York and launch an in-person event. Within a week, I was like, you know what? I want to go to New York. I'm going to launch a workshop in my hotel room. So I got a suite. I said only 5 people can be there. It's going to be really hands-on, so it's a little higher level pricing, but it's going to be
brilliant. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about beaches.
Okay, we can do that.
So can you give me the short story of how this even happened?
Yeah. So Beaches is a movie, in case you didn't know. That famously has a song.
Hold on, pause. I asked my husband if he had seen this movie, and he's like, no. And I was like, it's a really sad movie. And he goes, how many times have you seen it? I'm like, I mean, probably 25. And he was like, why would you watch a sad movie over and over again? And I'm like, this is what we did at slumber parties and in college. I don't know, but we did.
Like again and again and again and again. So I actually watched the movie with my husband recently because of all this. I do think at this point, I like the musical better than the movie at this point, because it's very nostalgic, right? In the 80s magic that it is. But that movie like changed my life. I have such huge, like I think it's where I first really learned how to feel something. It's where I first really learned like the power of friendship and that crying can feel good, right?
Yeah.
And like that they start as pen pals and that they're totally different. They meet as kids on the beach, right? And then they are totally different. I also have been to the house in Beaches is actually in Laguna Beach. And I've been there. So my mom has passed away. It was like I have a connection with my mom in that movie. So all these things. Okay, the short version is I have been approached by so many people about investing in shows, but being a part of these shows, and nothing has checked all the boxes. Like there's just some things that I was like, I couldn't put my name on that. I don't know that, there's just different things. But my friend Jeff, who was in my wedding, he and I worked together at Ellen Stardust Diner as singing waiters a million years ago. He got his master's in producing at Columbia. So he had taken a little break, gone and done some other things, and he moved back to New York and was wanting to get back into that scene. And he went and saw a video of the musical production in Calgary. So our main producer, Jen, is just amazing. And she got a really great video of it in Calgary. So instead of just telling people about it, she rented out a movie theater and played it in the theater so people could come together, because this production is all about the audience connection. So they played it. Jeff was like, I expected that this was going to be just like the movie on stage, but they made like a good show. Like I really like this. So Jeff decided to reach out to her and say he wanted to work on it. He then got hired as her executive producer. He then was like, okay, wait, the business model of this is totally different. So the business model, have I told you this before? Mm-mm. Okay, the business model of a Broadway show, I have learned so much in the past few months. The business model of a Broadway show is usually you invest in the show on Broadway. If and when it closes, that is the end. You are not connected to the tour. This is totally different. So this is the first musical that has had, when you invest in the Broadway show in its first form, you're also connected to the tour. So you're investing in the whole mother company, meaning if it goes into movie theaters, like she did this with the filming of the Calgary thing, we also have a film of the New York version. And so this now could go into movie theaters. And we recognize that selling this show on Broadway, it's not really like your edgy spectacle. It's more of a come with your best friend, and like Jessica Vosk sings her freaking face off. The kids in this show are the funniest, most amazing thing. Kelly Barrett's amazing. It's a very small cast. It's very small, like in terms of sets, because we intentionally did it to take this exact whole production and take it on the road. So it's a very different model. It's the
How long will it be on Broadway?
It's going to be a super short run.
Okay. Like if I want to see it there, I need to go.
Yeah. So get to New York, because the whole plan is that we're going to be bringing it to you and your local, your local thing. So, it's going to be a short run. We don't know how long it's going to go, but it's going to be awesome. And I saw it in New York twice. I'm going to go back and see it again. And it's really for someone who like loves friendship, who loves, the goodness in life. And it's new music, as we've talked about. So Wind Beneath My Wings is in it. But the music was written by Mike Stoller, who wrote Hound Dog, who wrote Under the Boardwalk. He wrote all of these like crazy #1 hits. And then the lyrics and the play is written by Iris Raynor Dart, who wrote the original book. So it's based off of the book.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
see
Jeff called
this
me and
is
was
on
like,
there.
hey, this is happening. Do you want to get involved? I was like, yeah, I could put 25K in. Like that was the minimum. And I was like, yeah, sure. This will be fun. And then when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute. If I actually like get behind this and bring in other investors, and now I'm like, I talked to both Jen and Jeff the whole way home from my drive yesterday in traffic. So I am like,
you're in it.
yeah, I'm like all in. My feet are covered in sand. It's great.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to get some girls together and try to get to New York City, I think. So that's why I was like, anyway, side conversation. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked a lot about AI stars and Multiply. Do you want to invite others in? Do you have an offer or anything you would like to share?
You know what, actually? So when we talk about all of this and getting that foundation in place, I think one of the things that people really gloss over is knowing that individual human that you are speaking to. So you and I were talking about this right before we hit the record button, that when you're doing a podcast or you're doing a video, I always use what I call a Mr. Rogers conversation. This is Mr. Rogers on my mug right now. And when he launched his show, it was not, hey, everybody in the neighborhood. It was, hey, neighbor. And it became a cultural phenomenon, right? And we felt that we trusted him. Like, can you imagine if you had the chance to like actually sit down with Mr. Rogers? Like, I think I would cry.
Me too.
I know I would cry, not even think. So, and why is that? Because he treated us like a real person on the other side of the camera. And so I think the most important piece that we can put into place is really defining our ideal client. So I have a tool that gives you not just like the demographic and the pain points, but the true magic, like the juicy goodness of what this ideal client is. And so I would love to give you that ideal client for free if you would like it.
I think everyone needs it.
Even better. So I just realized since we started recording this at 7:30 in the morning, I forgot the link, but I know it now. It's molly.live/good AI. So molly.live/good AI, MOLLY.live/good AI.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Your tools are so good too. So I just encourage everyone to go and try it.
You might use it. Like use
Yes.
it again and again and again. Talk to that
Yes.
person. So we
Yes.
say that you can create 3 different ideal clients so that you're speaking to people at different levels or, you know, in their business, different people, but start with just one.
Yeah. Thank you, Molly. I appreciate all you've given this world of AI already, all you're continuing to do, really being a cheerleader for people like me, and just encouraging goodness and kindness and multiplying anything we can give and add to this world. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Go do good.